Operations Committee will come to order.
I can get a agenda.
Joanne, are we recording? Thank you.
I have to go over there.
David, will you do roll call, please?
Okay. Maureen Debegaire.
Present.
Chris Priest.
Here.
David Cornett.
Here, I'm Eva's home.
Don Gregg.
Me and my Lakers here.
John Richard Handleman. Here. John Hess.
Here.
Bobby Levin. Joyce Reese.
Yes.
Joanne Robinson.
Present.
Stuart Richland.
Here.
Dominic Carnaglia.
Here.
Tricia Caputo.
Here.
Fausto Fabro.
Here.
And I'm here. We definitely have a quorum.
Thank you.
And we have 6 yes.
Okay. Did everybody read the minutes as sent out? Are there any corrections to the minutes?
Make a motion to accept. I
Thank you.
second it.
Good. Minutes have been accepted with no corrections. Monica, we're all yours.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Today, we're looking at your statement of operations for the 3 months ended January 31st. And for the month of January, we had $618,000 in revenue. We had $588,000 in expenses, so we have a profit for the month of $30,000. For the 3 months, our revenue was $1.6 million, and our total expenses $1.7 million, so we have a loss of $91,000. For those 3 months, we had actually budgeted a loss of $452,000, so we have a positive variance to date of $361,000. If you look down the right side of the page, under the variance from budget, you'll see just about all the expense items are under budget year to date. Any questions? Okay. Your social activity summary is at the bottom. Your theater income for January was $66,496. And for the theater, your dances and the movies, we paid $78,878. So we have a loss for January of $12,378. For the 3 months, your theater and dance total income is $113,000. For your theater, dances, and movies, we paid $128,000. So year to date, we're looking at a loss of just under $15,000. We had budgeted a loss of $28,000. So again, we have a positive variance for your social activity summary of $13,829. Questions there? Okay. Your next report is your cash balances. As of January 31st, your operating funds were $771,000. Your windstorm deductible reserves, which we're continuing to rebuild, is at $651,000. Our contingency and infrastructure improvement reserves are at $125,000. So our total reserves amount to $775,937, and our total available cash $1,547,000.
God bless you.
Bless you.
After you pop the cork.
Next report is your Estoppel income results, and this is through the month of February. So February sales were up from 42 last month to 50 in February. So year to date, there have been 161 units sold in this community, for which we collected $35,570. And in the prior year, for the same period, there were 201 units that were sold. So it's a decrease of 36 units, or 18% over the prior year. And somewhere along the way, I've lost my last report, which is your report for guest revenue. This is also through the end of February. The total resident box office sales for the 4 months is $117,000. Box office sales to guests is $40,656. So our total box office sales for the 4 months, $157,709. That represented 9,313 tickets sold to residents, 2,585 tickets sold to guests, and the total tickets sold 11,898. And what this means is that included in your total box office sales, we collected $7,755 for guests, because the guest pays, $3 more on top of the regular ticket price for a resident. We also sold guest passes in the ID office, and for the 4 months, we collected $17,057, and we sold guest passes in the staff office for additional $4,697. So the total fees generated from guests during the last 4 months is $29,509. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Usually you give us a breakdown of each show.
Dances
The
and
dances and shows.
It's a sheet, and so
Oh, you're right.
I mean, like,
My P&L is missing.
yeah,
My
I just,
theater
I
P&L.
noticed it too, that's one of the things I looked at.
Well, I don't know, I apologize, somehow it,
Just include it the next time.
yeah, I can email it to the committee. I'll email it to the committee members this
yeah, I would appreciate
afternoon,
it.
my
I
apologies.
always like to keep track of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure, yeah. I don't know what's happened with my reports this morning or afternoon. Yeah. No, honestly, I'll email and that would be the February
Yes.
social activities P&L. I'll email this afternoon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Monica,
Yes, sir.
would it be useful if the last figure, the total revenue, with the estoppels you put in last year for comparison, would it be useful if you put in the first 3 months of last year, the total generated, so we could compare one year to the other?
I can certainly do that.
It shouldn't be that, yeah,
Sure.
okay.
Yeah, that's easy to
People
do.
agree, we could compare the 29,000 to what it was last year,
Okay.
all right?
Yeah, I've done that down at the bottom, but you can't see it. So, because it's in the formula, you see at the bottom where it says the decrease in the revenue. First of all, it shows above it the prior year collections. So the decrease is $6,640, but I can easily add the income from the prior month to the schedule. I'll do that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I just wanted to say that though Dan had planned to be here, something came up, so he had to take care of that. He's not here. What I want to tell you about the lift station bids and the Southampton bathroom remodel bids is we're still working on them. It's been a little bit difficult to get all of our figures or ducks in a row, and that's just, everyone takes their own sweet time to do it. So hopefully we'll have something more solid to present next month. So we're going to jump down now to discussion, which would be the Dorchester fence bids. So an email was sent out to you for both mechanical and then for chain link, all right, at 6 foot. And the chain link was going to have posts every 5 feet. So I know you should have all looked at that email. I did not print, let's say 25 copies, but I do have 12 up here, and I would ask then if you wanted it to look at that, you would share with your neighbor. So I do have that up here if you wanted to look at it. So what we have for let's start with the chain link.
We're doing the chain link, right?
All right, so again, 6 foot high, and then posts every 5 feet. The budget is $32,000 for that. All right, we have 3 bids. Dos Santos came in at $24,950, Chosen Group at $27,567, Martin Fence at $29,598.
That's the mechanical?
That's chain link. Okay, so now we're going to jump over to the figures for the mechanical. Dos Santos, $17,500, Chosen Group, $24,350, and Martin Fence, $31,312.
And they're 6 foot also.
Yes, that was what the committee had requested, so. Yes,
Just curious, is that along the North Canal or is that around the pool?
it'll be around the pools, so it'll be around the satellite pools. The particular job we're looking at is Dorchester, will be the first of the satellite pools to receive a new fence. Okay, so, yes, John?
Didn't we discuss this a long time ago when we started this, that we were going to do 6 foot mechanical, right? We were going to do 6 foot mechanical fences because they last longer and are better?
Yes, and you have a good memory, so can you tell me how far back that goes? I'm thinking at least 10 years, or maybe even longer.
We started talking about fenced pools. Well, I've been here
9 years ago.
I've been here 20 years, so about 9 years ago.
Okay, so what I want to do, because I know we have some new members, so I want to provide history on what happened here. So, if you remember, we'll say 9 years ago, we were having problems with the gates not latching properly. And we were spending a tremendous amount of money on the latches, so we finally came to the committee and reported that, but that we felt that the issue was that the chain link gates were too heavy, so it was not springing back and locking because of the weight of the chain link gates. So we'd asked the committee if we could go ahead, and our 3 most troublesome gates that we would go ahead and we would, change those gates out, thanks, for mechanical to see how that would work. So we changed out gates at Kent Pool, at Camden, and at Somerset.
Right.
All right, those 3 totaled about $5,000. But what we did prove was that was the issue. The chain link fence was too heavy, and that the mechanical fence was closing with absolutely no problem. So at that time then, the committee voted that we would move forward and that we would put mechanical fencing at all of the pools. All right? So that's a little bit of the history, and not only that, where Breeze Line is now, that used to be a maintenance shop for us. And if you'll remember, there's a rolling gate there that used to go into the back parking lot of the medical building that has that green marble on it. So while it had been shut down, it was a chain link fence. Well, I can tell you, and Donald would support this, that they had cut through that fence 3 different times and were stealing from the maintenance shop. We even put up cameras, but it didn't stop them. So after the 3rd time, I said, that's it, I'm not gonna repair it again with chain link. We're going to do mechanical, and then that was it. Never got through there again. So I believe it certainly offers more security, and the other thing I would say is that chain link gives you a foothold to climb over the fence. And if you needed to see evidence of that, if you go to YouTube and you type in alligator climbs fence, you will see, I pulled it up, alligator was able to climb a chain link fence. I would say the fence was maybe 4 feet high, but the only reason he was able to climb up was because he had a foothold with the chain link. So that just supports why we should go with mechanical, but this was something the committee had already voted on all those years ago. All right, Richard.
You've just given me another reason I'd like to make a motion and then discussion that we accept the Dos Santos bid for the mechanical fence. Is it proper to make a motion now?
25.
Yeah, we'll continue.
Yeah, I'll second that
You got a second on that motion?
Oh, wait a minute, Asia's telling me I made a mistake. Okay, wait a minute.
Remember, we went from 6 foot to 4 foot,
Yes.
back to 6 foot.
Right.
So there was a small,
Hey, sit in your chair.
Right.
Stand, you can stand up. Looks good.
Yes, 6 foot mechanical.
It was 6, 4, 6, 6.
There's a, mine's the other roll over there.
This is
Yeah.
So you got two, that's what confused me too, because you didn't give us all the figures.
We gotta remember, we went from 6 foot mechanical to 4 foot mechanical to 6 foot chain,
Okay.
back and forth.
So we want 6-foot mechanical.
This is the chain link with the correct price and
But
this.
where, it doesn't say, you know, it says chain link.
Where's your mechanics? Oh, we didn't get the mechanical pile.
Here, wait a minute.
Yeah.
A little bit of history, the Dorchester pool fence was scheduled to be replaced 9 years ago. It was put on every budget in the last 9 years, and 5 years ago, it finally got painted. So it's due because it was rusting away. So it really needs to be replaced.
All right, let me give you these numbers again, and I apologize. Asia's right, you know, we originally quoted the price on 4 foot because Dan was just going with what they were doing at the other villages, which is 4 feet. So that's what we had, the price we had brought you originally. So I apologize for the confusion. Okay, so. All right, here we go. All right, so chain link, 6 foot. Dos Santos, 24,950. Chosen Group, 27,567. Martin Fence, 29,598. All right, so that's chain link. Again, 5 foot posts, separated, all right. Mechanical, okay. Chosen Group, 28,339. Dos Santos, 38,500. And Martin Fence, 43,000.
And all three of those are basically the same.
I'm sorry, say that again?
All three of those fence company installations basically the same.
Yes, but we give them an RFP as to what we want.
Right.
So they have to price it based on our RFP.
What was the set?
Would you repeat the mechanical ones, please?
So mechanical, Chosen Group, 28,339, Dos Santos, 38,500, and Martin Fence, 43. It went from 4 feet to 6 feet.
No, I'm surprised that Dos Santos is $10,000 more.
So anyway,
Mechanical, right?
again, budget for this project is 32,000. So we do have one mechanical bid that came in that is under,
Chosen.
right, the Chosen Group, which is under the 32,000. We've used Chosen before, but have we used them to put in a fence? I don't think so.
But multiple things we've used them before.
Yes. We've used them before, but not for a fence.
David?
That was my question, and did DeSantis ever put a fence up for us?
Yes.
Most of them, yes.
Most of them.
Everything around the clubhouses, yes.
Does a good job.
Ron?
I'll make a motion again. We made a motion already, but we'll redo it then. Let's do it with the, what did you say, 28?
28,339, the Chosen Group.
Yeah, that's me.
Mechanical fence, 6 foot.
There you go.
All right, if there's no objection, I'll withdraw mine. I was going with what you gave me.
Yeah,
It was a
I
lot
was
less.
wrong.
We need a second on John's motion.
I second it.
What's the guarantee on those? But is Chosen gonna do a good job? Do we know that?
I don't even know. Do you know what the guarantee on it is? We'd have to find that out. But it's the same as, we use the exact same fence at Hastings, and then around the resident and the Dorchester pools. Not Dorchester, the guest pool.
We got a second on my motion.
All right.
So Chosen has not done a fence before for us, but, thought they just said it was around the building.
So for discussion.
Okay, so you've made a motion. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Richard.
Can we wait a month and ask Chosen to supply
No.
references, pictures, warranties, guarantees, any information?
She's already said they want to go to other places.
The same manufacturer, forget what I just said. Dominique knows.
Well,
Same manufacturer.
They're doing some major work for us, the Chosen Group. While they haven't done a fence, they are the ones doing the men's shower in the men's clubhouse. You know that one where all that washout was underneath the floor? They also did the catwalk behind the clubhouse. They were the ones that did that project. So they have done some pretty big things for us. So we are familiar with the company, if that makes you feel any better.
It's
David,
connected to my
excuse me, David,
I'm no expert on fencing, but I did a little bit of it.
Tell us it is.
You might,
Admonish
Do we have the specs on what type of fence product they're using? There's different grades, and that might have a big effect on the price.
They're made of aluminum. I don't know.
Just the spec of the product itself.
the thickness of the metal you're talking
Exactly.
about.
No, we did not request that. We haven't requested that in any of our past vendors before, but if you'd like us to, we can.
Well, this
It
was,
will delay the project.
I understand that, but, I would have thought that would have been done.
So what are we talking about now?
The thickness of the
can't hear.
fence.
Oh, okay.
The actual,
the gauge.
Yeah, please.
gauge is exactly, thank you, Stuart. I knew I could count on you for the exact word. I think that is important, but if you folks feel comfortable with it, that's something to consider.
What was that you were talking about? We didn't get to hear you.
We have these quotes, but we don't have,
The thickness.
if it's the gauge of all that, what the vendors are going to use, the gauge of the fencing.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that something that could be gotten readily? That's up to the committee.
It just says 3/4 inch or 3/4 inch. They don't give a gauge.
Right, it does say 3/4 inch.
3/4 inch.
They don't say how thick.
Doesn't say the gauge.
The difference in materials come in as well. What is the thickness of aluminum? What is the thickness of steel? And you find that aluminum will outlast the other one.
I think now most of it is, it's not wrought iron anymore. They all use aluminum,
Right.
powdered coated aluminum, if I'm not
But
mistaken.
again, aluminum is expensive and they're gonna have a thinner gauge.
It's always going to be the same about everything.
Does the committee want to hold off until next month, or do you want to approve it?
Haven't we waited enough?
Hold on.
If I could, it does make a huge difference, the thickness of the material, how long it'll last or hold up. And I think it's a big enough expenditure that waiting another month to make sure that, that we're getting at least the equivalent product at each of the big levels. Or if we're getting an inferior one, it certainly shouldn't affect our bid.
I can't understand a word he's saying.
He thinks we should wait another month and get the information to the committee for you to make a more informed decision next month.
All three vendors, please. Thank you.
I withdraw my motion.
All right, no problem.
Okay.
One more
Next.
month, that's it, then we have to do it. I'm tired of looking at the fence.
All right.
You waited 9 years.
Oh, my windows look at the fence.
All right. And then, I'm sorry, now I'm... Okay, so the last thing here we have is, we had made a change at the pool, satellite pools, and that was that no swimming after dusk, which was actually on the signs, and it is a county regulation. It's an ordinance.
She said that out.
I'm sorry, now all these papers, here it is, okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, no night swimming, okay. Pool shall not be open for swimming at night unless the requirements for lighting as specified in paragraph 64E-9.0062C FAC are met. So night swimming shall be considered 1/2 hour before sunset to 1/2 hour after sunrise. So, I know David has raised this, and what it would require for us to be able to allow swimming at the pools, we'd have to improve the lighting. So we can certainly bring prices. Do I think that this is a good idea? I do, because right now we have, when the village opened, everybody was retired. Now, I would say more than half the village works. And so the only time they would have the opportunity to make use of the pools, satellite pools, would be at night. So we have improved the lighting at the guest pool, and over at Hastings, therefore those pools will be open for night swimming. But if you wanted to look into that possibility of opening up the satellite pools the same way, then we would have to get pricing for your consideration and decide whether you want to move forward or not.
How
Does
would that
that
be
mean,
enforced? I mean, I don't see how you can enforce that.
Security, and we put up signs that if they're caught, and we've had a few people, we haven't had many,
Oh, okay.
that you will be suspended. And that's what the sign says. So I've already put the warning out there that to not comply could result in a suspension of your privileges. So when we catch them, it would go to a straight suspension.
does the county require management during the pool hours? Does the county mandate having a lifeguard or somebody there while the pool hours are open?
No.
From sunrise till sunset?
No.
If you're after dark, does that become mandatory?
I don't see anything here.
I'm not sure, but many moons ago, there was a lifeguard.
Only,
You have something?
the only time you have to have a lifeguard in a private pool, unless you don't have lighting, is if you have a handicap lift. If you have a handicap lift, you must have a lifeguard. You don't have one.
Maureen?
Are the pools going to be locked so no one could go in and go swimming?
No, the pool decks stay open so that people can enjoy the pool deck, so they can go down if they wanted to and sit, talk, enjoy the sunset and, So yes, the decks themselves are open. Security knows to keep an eye on the pools, and they go out immediately if they see someone in the pool. So again, a big thank you to the committee some time ago for allowing us or approving the money to put cameras everywhere, because this is what helps us police it. Mhm.
How often are the security supposed to check the pools?
Well, during the day, they go twice. They go in the morning, and then they go in the afternoon. Then, whenever they're called to deal with a specific situation that's been reported, then they go to that pool area specifically. And so now, of course, they're going around at night after sunset to make sure that we have compliance from the residents. In speaking with them, they say that there's really been very few people that they've had to ask, and that everybody has been compliant. Mhm. So it's just up to the committee to tell me whether or not you want me to go ahead and look into the price of improving the lighting at these pools so that people could swim at night, or we'll just, advertise, which we have already, that they can certainly go to the guest pool, to the indoor pool, and to the Hastings pool to swim.
I think it's a good idea just to get the pricing so that we know what it would cost, and then we could go on and make a decision.
Well, what I'll do is I'll make sure to have the pricing, and I can present it at budget time when we present all the other pricings for the projects that we would bring to you. Is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds like a win.
Anybody else? John?
I was gonna say, if, we've already got 2 outdoor pools lit, plus the indoor pool.
Yeah.
Now, if we see pools being overrun, we need more pools, then it might be appropriate to to check on putting any more lighting in, or if we've got the prices to do it then, but just to do it, to make it handier for them. I mean, you got to curtail expenses where you can, but, you know, if you've already got facilities for them and they don't want to use them, then why build more facilities if they're not going to use them either?
Well, it's really only through season because it gets darker earlier. You know, think about the summer months, it stays light till almost 8 o'clock.
Well, but then
So-
but then when it gets to 9 o'clock and somebody wants to swim, they're either going to have to go up to the other pool
Right,
or get thrown out, so.
right. Well, Hastings is open till 9,
I got
but
you.
the guest pool is open till 10, so they do have someplace else to go. They do have choices.
So you get an hour's worth of swim time for 4 months, 5 months out of the year.
Right.
David?
I understand what you're saying, John, and I have to agree to that, but I think we might have to also look at a liability problem here, unless you start closing the pools at 8 o'clock. You know, you're going to the way it's described is you have to be out of the pool, but you can still sit on the deck. Well, unless you have a lifeguard there, that's not going to happen, and I don't care how many signs you put up. If they get in the pool, guaranteed Morgan and Morgan will be coming to see us the next day. So I think it's worth the time to check into the pricing on it.
Yes. I will definitely present that to the committee at budget time.
And the way you have,
Yeah, John.
and the way you have people who visit us, parents of small children, just look at the news. I'm sitting over having a cocktail while my kid's getting sucked up a buck, you know. I'm just saying that, you know.
Kids ain't allowed on satellite.
Yeah. Huh? Okay.
Well,
Well, they're there.
rules are rules.
I
They
know,
don't
but
follow
they're there all the
rules.
time.
Is
They're at Camden Pool all the
Okay.
time anyway.
All
No,
right.
I've never
Well,
seen.
we'll touch on this at budget time.
Budget time. I'm all for it though.
Been at Dorchester.
I think that's it for me. I don't know if anybody has anything for good of the order?
Yes, Joyce?
What's happening with gate access? We mentioned it last month. Are we moving forward on that?
As of July 1st, okay, the list will be limited to 6 people.
Okay, I did see a
And we will
date.
be advertising it. There'll be a program change, whatever, that was 2,500 or 2,600?
I think it was, what did you say, $500 an hour?
An hour, yeah, something like that.
And they thought maybe
Yeah.
2.5 to 3 hours of
But
programming.
we decided that we wait for season to be over.
Oh, okay.
We will be advertising it, that as of July 1st, your permanent guest list will be limited to 6 individuals.
You just didn't have the date here, so I'm sorry.
Right, well, July 1st. You're pre-jumping the gun. The only thing that I would like to say that yesterday, there was a policy change made pertaining to certificates of occupancy. Blank certificate of occupancies will no longer be handed out by UCO or WPRF, whether it's for a sale or a rental. If a person is a renter, he must go to the board with his lease, and it's up to the lease, the individual officer to come with the lease and come to UCO, and we will print out a certificate of occupancy.
What
Okay?
about an owner?
An owner is the same way. It would go through.
Of course.
If it's a UCO investigation for a sale, we will issue it. If you do it on your own, you must provide your own. If you use Seacrest, it's up to them to provide that. Okay? No blanks will be given out anymore. Anybody have any questions? Everybody understands? Simple. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to bring up an issue, I guess, that was discussed at Abby's entertainment meeting last week.
Yes.
I understand that there was some discussion about the committee wanting us to look or search for a proprietary ticketing system to replace the current audience view system that we have.
Yes.
A little bit of history there. Years ago, we had our own proprietary system that was custom written for Century Village and was used in all of our communities. And the individual that wrote the program moved to North Carolina, and before too much longer, he was retiring and didn't want to be bothered with maintaining the system anymore. And at that time, this is about 10 years ago, that's when this community in particular was very involved and had a subcommittee in selecting the ticketing system that we replaced the custom written system with, which was, you'll remember the name Vendini. And it was a great system, it worked well. Well, Vendini got bought out by Audience View, which is who we have now, and it's my understanding that Audience View has bought up most all of the ticketing systems across the country, except for your, Ticketmasters or some of your very, very large ticketing programs. They own the majority of them now. I checked with Kings Point, and they have their own custom written proprietary system that they are currently searching to replace with an off-the-shelf product for the same reason that we did. They're having difficulties getting support from the individual that wrote their program. And in Deerfield, Century Village, they use an off-the-shelf program called WorkBright. We can certainly look for someone to write a program, but I would expect it to be quite expensive. And according to my IT director, he says most of these people that write these programs, they don't want to be tied to them years and years after supporting them. They want to write the program and move on. So that's just what I wanted to share with you from.
I brought that up. It was my suggestion only because, too much is coming off the top. I know that we've cut back on our losses, and we've been running over $100,000 a year loss every year. And some of it is due to people not showing up, and some of it, if we can cut a cost and we can just get, I don't know how hard it is. I'm not a computer person, but I don't know how hard it could be to write a program to print out a ticket.
Well, it's not so much that. The thing that's unique about our ticketing software is most ticketing programs, they want to sell to any Tom, Dick, and Harry that wants to buy a ticket. In our case, we're limiting those purchases to residents and residents' guests, and that adds a
Cost.
a cost and another layer of complexity to the programming.
Plus, you want to be able to generate all kinds of reports that Monica uses then to provide figures to the committee. So it's not just about selling tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, when between the system, and you're losing, I think it's like 18% of your ticket to go in for the service, and then you add sales tax to it, and then blah, 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 and before you're done, your dollar is now worth 65 cents, somewhere around there. And if we could somehow minimize that by having our own, printing our own tickets. I think we should still look into it. I think there's somebody out there that might be willing to do that,
Okay.
as long as it's affordable.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I understand from Abby that this year with the new price structure that this committee put together, we're doing much better than we've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Right.
We're not bleeding red blood. We got little drops of blood, but we can do much better, and I think any time that we can save unit owners money, it's important that we do that, and at least try. If we can't, we can't. There are things that you can't reinvent the round wheel. I think we can make it bigger or smaller.
Okay. Well,
Okay?
I will ask my
Thank
IT director to do some searching and see what he can come up with. Okay. Thank you.
That's it for us, I guess.
Anything else?
I make
Yeah.
a motion, we go home.
All right.
I
Thank you.
seconded it.
Oh, there
Thanks,
will,
everybody.
everybody should have gotten an email, executive board will meet Friday morning, and the office will be closed Friday afternoon.
What time?
Easter weekend.
My pleasure, you guys enjoy.
10 o'clock.
All you were, you get out there and do it.
Okay, take care. Bye.